after the top of the hour here. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks so much for being with us. We want to get into the biggest story of the day in our continuing coverage of the Nashville school shooting. We're learning more about who these 6 victims are. Right now, a mass being held in Washington, Missouri, to remember the life of 9-year-old Evelyn Dickhouse. This is at St. Francis Borgia Church, where her grandparents are members in Washington, Missouri. And so obviously with the loss of these 6 lives, this reverberates and extends to so many other communities nationwide. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more on this story.
The building and goes inside. Armed with 3 guns, 2 of them assault-style weapons, the shooter walks through the school firing more rounds. 6 people, 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults were killed.
Never in a million years thought that would be this close to me, this close to home.
Investigators say the 28-year-old suspect who was shot and killed by police went to the school years ago. The attack, which they say lasted roughly 15 minutes, was planned. The shooter had detailed maps of the building. But authorities believe it may not have been the only target.
There may have been some resentment for whatever reasons. So she had targeted not only that school, but other locations as well that she didn't get to carry out.
This latest mass shooting once again sparking calls for Congress to pass an assault rifle ban. There have been at least 130 mass shootings this year.
No other country is dealing with this. No other country is dealing with our kids going to school and being slaughtered, being murdered, teachers being slaughtered, being murdered.
Still, others blame mental illness.
The common thread is you've got somebody who's mentally ill and evil. People are evil, and they're going to do evil things. It's unfortunate.
Investigators armed with a search warrant also found a sawed-off shotgun, a second shotgun, and other evidence at the suspect's home. Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Madeline, thanks so much. Right now, we want to bring into the conversation the member of Congress who represents this district there in Nashville, Tennessee. Congressman Andy Ogles joins me now live from Washington. And Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. Our condolences here at LiveNOW from Fox go out to you, your staffers, and your constituents as well. We heard from Chief Drake there in that press conference today that still no motive is known, though they believe the school itself was targeted, not necessarily the victims. Are you learning anything new at this hour about the investigation?
Well, you know, it's an ongoing investigation. It's developing, you know, hour by hour. And, you know, hands off to Mayor Cooper and you know, Chief Drake. They've done a fantastic job of staying in communication with the community. You know, I've been in direct contact with Mayor Cooper and Drake's office. And, you know, really only from our perspective, just let them know we're here if there's anything that you need. But, you know, look, at 10/13, you know, our community, our state, our country was rocked by this individual who clearly had mental illness and who was set out to do evil. As you just heard Chief Drake say, that we now know that there were other targets, possible targets, and these 2 brave officers prevented a much greater tragedy.
Congressman, we learned a lot new details in that latest press conference. The shooter had 7 guns. They were legally purchased. They used 3 of them in the shooting. The shooter was receiving help for an emotional disorder, but not had been voluntarily or involuntarily committed. So knowing all of that and having seen the surveillance video from the scene, what more, though, does the public need to know about the investigation that goes forward? What answers, or questions rather, do you still have?
Yeah, again, you know, this is one of those situations where you've got to be careful not to rush to judgment. You know, the Metro Nashville Police Department did a phenomenal job in their response, and I have absolute faith that they'll do a phenomenal job in their investigation. And you know, I have the same questions that you do, that our community does. I mean, look, families' lives were shattered and broken. You know, had 6 lives lost. But then think about all the children in the school whose world was rocked. Their classmates are gone. Their you know, the administrator, the teachers are gone, and they have to continue on with life, and that's easier said than done. And so, you know, I think as we talk about and we have conversations as we move forward, I think we need to pause and we need to pray, and we need to think about these families and what they're suffering through and what they've gone through and what they will go through as we move forward.
Yeah.
As far as the shooter, again, this is a situation, this individual was deeply troubled, and you just have to wonder what warning signs were there, what more could have been done, what do we need to do about having a serious conversation around mental illness in this country. You know, as mayor, as county executive down in Murray County, there's a soup kitchen literally 2 blocks from the courthouse where my office was. And, you know, I'm not a doctor, don't pretend to be one, but 80 to 90% of those individuals, many of them veterans, homeless, you know, are facing mental health crises, and they have nowhere to turn. And so when are we going to have that conversation instead of trying to ban things and trying to ban things as we move forward? Let's talk about root causes, and the root cause here is mental illness.
Yeah, I want to get to that in our conversation about what can be done at the state and federal levels when it comes to gun violence. But you said you've mentioned conversations you've had with the mayor of Nashville, with the police chief. Have you or your office reached out yet to victims' family members, to school administrators, as we now have to remember those 6 lives?
Yeah, no, this is one of those moments. You know, I'm a father of 3 children. We've lost a child. What these families are going through is hard to describe. I think the last thing they want to do is hear from me or my office. We're here for them. We're praying for them, and at the appropriate time, we'll reach out. But at the end of the day, you know, I just have to commend Nashville. I have to commend Metro Nashville. I have to commend these 2 officers. I mean, I consider them the dynamic duo. There was a moment in time where they had a choice, and they chose to run into that building. There was a moment of time where they could have gone left or right, and they heard gunfire, and they went towards the gunfire. And again, as we said, 6 lives were lost, precious lives, but it could have been many, many more. And because of these 2 brave individuals, these 2 men, these two officers in blue, look, if you know a first responder, police, fire, EMS, make sure you call them tonight. Make sure you give them a hug. They feel these types of tragedies at their core, and they need to hear from you to know that their community supports them.
Congressman, I want to move on to potential action or inaction on Washington. Your colleague in the Tennessee delegation, Congressman Burchett, he was asked about this yesterday. What role does Congress have here? And this is what he said. He says, I don't see any real role that we could do other than mess things up, honestly, because of the situation. It's like I said, I don't think our criminal is going to start from guns. You know, you can print them out on the computer now, 3D printing, and there's really, I don't think you're going to stop the gun violence, to which President Biden said today that he has limited responsibilities and authorities, that it is Congress's role. The ball is in Congress's court. Do you agree with your colleague, Congressman Burchett, that there's not much to do at the congressional level now?
Well, I think when we look at healthcare in this country, you know, again, I think, you know, going back to Burchett's comments, you know, what role is it there for government? You know, how could government make it worse? You know, Ronald Reagan, the scariest phrase in the American language is I'm from the government and I'm here to help, right? And so I think we move carefully, we move thoughtfully, but is there the opportunity to expand mental health services, especially for our youth? In our education system, we have a very broad, very robust education system in this country. So what support services can be there? Because one would assume, and it's just an assumption, that this individual, the shooter, has had a troubled past that dates back into their middle school and high school years, and what could have been done at those pivotal times in her history, in her life, in her arc, her story, that could have made a difference to save these 6 lives. I'm not here to offer specific solutions, but what I do know is we have to have a serious conversation around this issue of mental health. And look, we can't ban our way out of this. You know, what are we going to do? Ban spoons to fix obesity? Are we going to ban cars to stop drunk driving? I mean, no, those ridiculous suggestions, just as banning guns, is not going to fix someone with mental illness, with evil intent, from doing something heinous like this crime.
To that point, in the wake last summer of the mass shootings in Uvalde and in Buffalo, Congress did act. They passed the bipartisan Safer Communities bill. You were not in Congress at that time. I want to know what you think about that piece of legislation. If you were in Congress at the time, would you have supported it?
Well, you know, I think when you look at, again, practical solutions for school districts and school systems is, you know, should there be a mechanism for a teacher who gets the proper training, who notifies their sheriff, their police chief, for them to have the ability, the right to carry a sidearm in the classroom to protect their students. Again, a suggestion, it's a question, but it's a conversation we should have. When you look at this school, that your administrator, she'd had the proper training on active shooters as being reported. The school was locked down, but again, a person with evil intent with a weapon decided to force entry, to make force entry into this building. So again, this school did everything right. This administrator, this faculty, they did everything right. And, you know, we can't bubble wrap the world. What we can do is offer practical solutions. I'm of the mindset that's give the opportunity for our teachers to arm themselves, to lock their doors, protect their students. And if someone breaches that door, and whether they have a gun, a knife, or a rock, that they have the right to use lethal force to protect those kids. And that's what I would recommend, among many other things that we can do, I think, as we move forward and have these, very careful and thoughtful conversations.
Okay, and just I just want to button up this point here, because so many people, this is a common refrain after these mass shootings, to do something. You hear that a lot. What do you tell your constituents when you're out back in your district in the wake of this, who come up to you and they're going to say, we're sick and tired of seeing this on TV almost weekly? What's your answer to them?
Yeah, again, this is a situation where we live in a hurting and broken world. And you have people, again, I would say that this young woman slipped through the cracks. And I don't know when in her life that occurred, but she has been crying out for help for a very long time. And we're not going to ban our way out of this. That's not going to be a solution that's practical. So someone goes into a school with a knife, with a rock, Cain and Abel. I mean, come on, evil people are going to do evil things. You see people shoving people on subways. You see people running into crowds with automobiles. I mean, people are going to find a way to inflict damage and harm if that's what they want to do. So let's get to the root cause. Root cause is a broken world and a mental illness issue.
Okay, before we let you go, though, I have to get your comments on this, because some people on Twitter, vocal gun control advocates like Shannon Watts with Everytown for Gun Safety, like Fred Gutenberg, who lost his daughter back in the Parkland school shooting in 2017. They're posting this photo of you and your family on a Christmas card with guns in your hand. You're a pro-Second Amendment staunch supporter. What do you say to your critics who are trying to make a link with your Second Amendment stance and the shooting that we all saw just yesterday?
Well, you know, that's a photograph that was taken roughly 2 years ago. And if we're having conversations about a photograph that was taken 2 years ago, clearly we're missing the point. And let's be honest. You know, I had a reporter ask me earlier today, do I regret taking that photo? And the answer is a simple no. I don't regret taking a photo with my family, nor do I regret exercising my Second Amendment rights, which are in the Constitution of the United States. And look, you know, as you look in that photograph, it's a public service announcement on how to properly hold and display a weapon. My kids have been trained. They know how to handle a weapon. And again, this is the United States of America. I have a right to bear arms. I am going to bear arms. I'm not going to change my stance on that because someone stupid does something horrible in our communities. What we've got to do is get to the root causes of this. And look, we can't ban our way out of the situation. Like I said earlier, what are we going to ban spoons next? We're going to ban sugar? Absolutely not. And banning guns is not the solution. And
just lastly, though, why do you think your critics, though, are trying to make that link there? What's going on?
Well, because, you know, look, our community, you know, at 1013 was broken yesterday. And what should be their focus is those families and the heroics of Nashville Police Department and those faculty members and those teachers, those people that laid their lives down, put their lives. That should be what we're talking about right now. But you have people on the left who have a radical agenda to change this country. And so they're leveraging this moment in time, the brokenness of our community and these families to push their own selfish-driven agenda. And I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. All right, we're not going to ban our way out of this. And to these families, our hearts are broken for you, and we're praying for you, and we're here for you.
Congressman Andy Ogles from Tennessee, we appreciate your time. We'll talk again.